viewers, welcome to episode 2 of our discussion on generative AI and security, navigating the new threat landscape. Hope you found episode 1 insightful. In case you missed episode 1, the link of the same is in the description box below. Do check out. So now let's continue with our discussion with our panelists, Pooja, Priya, and Vishal. Let's kick off episode 2 of our conversation with you, Priya. We are seeing a proliferation of new security solutions powered by generative AI, including anomaly detection, behavioral analysis, and automated vulnerability scanning. While these solutions offer great promise, they also raise concerns about bias and ethical considerations. What are the most promising types of new security solutions leveraging generative AI, and how can we mitigate the potential risks associated with these technologies?
Yeah, this is cyber security concerns while employing LLMs and Gen AI models and AI also in generic have always been concerns, but now those concerns have really come to the forefront because Gen AI has become a reality. So in the last 12 to 24 months, it's become a reality. Organizations are evaluating models. Some of them have gone live, but the concerns regarding security it is a key factor impacting the adoption of Gen AI. But at the same time, in my own experience, I wouldn't say that's what is preventing organizations from adopting Gen AI models. There are larger concerns in terms of, is it really delivering the value that it's promised? What are the cost concerns? How will I maintain these models from a skill and expertise perspective, and the difficulties in terms of training and developing models? Those concerns are larger when compared to cybersecurity. Also, because cybersecurity concerns are now more defined and the solutions are available. Unlike your traditional cybersecurity, where we have completely defined model in terms of how we protect and detect and prevent and verify and remediate. Everything is very standard and structured. It's been a proven science for the last 10 years. Gen AI cybersecurity is yet to get there. But there is a lot of tools and methodologies available in terms of how to go about it. And once again, organizations are evaluating, they are implementing, and it's going to mature over a period of time. What really is important is, like Pooja said, to have Gen AI specific risks included into their audit and governance and risk and compliance framework, and it requires a different thinking process. Same traditional methods of audit will not be enough. Same policies and governance may not be enough. Define new policies, new roles, new audit framework, and employ AI security officers, which organizations are implementing and bringing in now. And also look at even the bad guys and cyber criminals. They also have access to Gen AI, which only means that we will have more realistic email phishing tactics, more synthetic malwares being released into the market, deep fake audios, disinformation campaigns. There are new threats that are coming out of Gen AI that require special attention. And the threats themselves are three types. I mean, once again, everybody is worried, but traditional threats will continue. That is nothing to do with Gen AI. And some of the traditional threats will become more refined and granular. For example, the ones that I just talked about, more targeted phishing campaigns or more advanced malwares. They were there before, but they just become more enhanced now. And there is a third category that is completely brought in because of employing the new Gen AI models, LLMs, algorithms, etc., etc. All these require different ways of addressing. And the third category typically is in terms of model extraction issues, prompt injection attacks, exploit attacks, data poisoning attacks. And then there is also exploiting the backdoors created by Gen AI, data exfiltration. Supply chain attacks will continue where harmful content can be injected into the or malicious behavior can be injected into the models that are supplied by the third parties, and model evasion, which is trying to break the guardrails and trying to make Gen AI or AI models do something that they are not intended to do. These are the new types of attacks, and fortunately, the the compliance landscape is also expanding. There are new acts around Gen AI that are available now. There is EU Gen AI, and US has AI Training Act, and APAC has its own Gen AI bills that are passed. India also has Digital Gen AI Act. So just to bring it down to addressable pieces, organizations will focus on four areas, apart from, of course, infrastructure and traditional security and GRC. Secure the applications using that enable Gen AI or AI, and secure the data collection and data handling process. How we do it may vary depending on organization to organization, but these are the basic principles. Secure the model development and training, because that's where some of the data poisoning is possible, and secure the live usage of the Gen AI or AI models. And now there are tools available. There are AI ML SecOps, OWASP Top 10 now addresses LLMs and AI models separately. There's Gen AI red teaming possible, AI SecOps available, Gen AI firewalls. All the traditional firewall vendors are upgrading to providing Gen AI firewalls and WAFs. Data encryption has always been around. API security is another way to secure. And secure AI against adversarial attacks. That's another option. AI security posture management tools are now available. AI vulnerability management, vulnerability scans are now available. Most of these are open source now. The big vendors are also getting into that space, but organizations will have to constantly experiment with these open AI, open source Gen AI cybersecurity tools, and employ them as applicable to their models according to their employing or adoption of Gen AI in the next coming years, and constantly evaluate and look for new ways of securing till it becomes a very matured science. But it's not as big of a threat as it was maybe the last year or the year before. It is maturing. There are methods available to securing Gen AI and securely adopting Gen AI.
Thanks, Priya. I think that was very well explained, and thanks for adding examples of tools. That will be really helpful for the viewers to understand which tools are there, and so many tools are now available and handy for everyone to use. So yeah, thanks, Priya. Now, next question is for you, Pooja. Generative AI can be used to create very realistic phishing campaigns, deepfakes, and other types of attacks. It also can be used to defend against those attacks. It is practically a double-edged sword. So, what are the main security challenges posed by the misuse of generative AI, and how can we develop effective countermeasures to mitigate these risks?
So, yeah, I think the main security concerns or challenges posed by Gen AI, some of which Priya had highlighted before, are the deep fakes, content getting so real that you cannot identify between what is spam and what is real, right? Another thing is the data leakage. We have heard so many financial organizations across the world, the data leakage has just become so common, right? And it's not, and data is the new crude oil, is what is said, right? Because it's out there in the market. Anyone and everyone can access it. There are markets which nobody talks about, but then your data is all over there. And we see it on a day-to-day basis, right? You go into a shopping mall, you buy something, and then you put in your mobile number, your email address, and the next day onward, you start getting spam emails every now and then, right? Things that you have never opted for. So data leakage is one of the primary concerns. Then we have realistic content, right? Earlier, the spam emails, if you look at like what we used to receive 5 to 10 years back, anybody in tech would be able to figure out that okay, it's a spam email. The layman, of course, they cannot identify between what is spam until unless they have actual knowledge. But people in tech would be able to identify. But nowadays, even people from tech domain, it's the emails, the messages have become so real that you don't know what is a spam and what is real, right? People are using actual numbers to portray, to show you that okay, this is how we are using your data and things like that. So and it's become very personalized, right? Some examples are people getting spam emails from their banks, right, with their loan account number saying that okay, this much amount is due. So those are very common examples, but that happens with organizations on a larger scale, right? Because there is a lot of too much data that the organizations deal with. Then there is credential theft, which is, I think, common for personal users and organization wide, which in turn results in the ransomware, right? Uh, Credentials are taken away, and then you're stuck at one point. Organizations have to go through a extreme negative situation, and then there are repercussions again for that. Then there is model theft, right, which is another concern of using Gen AI. Then the one of the biggest thing that I feel is in today's days, we are using cloud systems so much, right? Everybody is moving from on-premise to cloud. But where we put our data, when we put our data saying, okay, you know what, I'm using an AWS system, let's say, for example, and I'm putting all my data and everything is hosted over there. But we really are not aware of what other platforms are actually using or consuming that data from the cloud model that you are using, right? So that is something that we are not aware of. And which brings a bigger concern, right? Because, like I mentioned earlier, also, if you don't know what you're dealing with, it's a bigger concern. So we need to identify before we put our data out there to understand what are the other platforms or systems which are using our data. So that is very important. And the last one and the biggest, I think, threat that I feel is generative AI actually enables you to, do these attacks, or it really is a platform wherein you actually can learn how to do these attacks, which is very dangerous because there's like codes that you just write a simple statement and it will give you an entire code of hacking systems and cyber attacks and all of it. So that piece of it is something which really is concerning, but it is what it is, right? And the measures I feel that we can take in order to safeguard our systems are AI. Like we can have like threat simulators, right? We can have those systems wherein uh, you know how the threat looks like, and when you know what the threat looks like, you know how to mitigate it. Right? So that is one, and that of course is not going to happen in one day. It's like Priya also mentioned, right? It takes time. It's evolving. It looked like last year or 2-3 years back, it's not looking the same today. It is not going to look the same the next 5 years. It is going to evolve. So we need to evolve with the time. Then we have, what happens is we rely on one security system. Most organizations forget about that. Okay, you need to have a backup of the backup as well. You cannot rely on one security system saying that, okay, what one fine day if I'm attacked, my security system is there. You never know, right? What happens to your security system? The security system also can get hacked. So we need to be really ready with what are our security measures in terms of safeguarding our data, safeguarding ourselves from the attacks. Then there is API restrictions, and then there is data exposure, right? Now it's very important to understand that what is the data that you want to actually put out there, right? Your organization data is very crucial, very personal. So even if we are using certain AI tools, we need to make sure that, okay, this is the data that I really need to put wherein it's an external AI tool, right? And this is what I shouldn't be putting out there because it's a very, restrictive data. We usually don't think about it that much, and it's just because it's easy. It gives you all the solutions. I think we tend to put all the data and figure out how it is going to work after that. Then we have, so basically Gen AI is, I feel, rather than reacting to certain things which we humans usually do, right? We have been doing it for the past year. It takes us time to get there. It takes us time to understand, which is okay. Um, but I feel we need to be preventive rather than being reactive to Gen AI, right? We need to be on our toes. I think that's what it is. That's the reality of it. Right? We have to be on our toes because we don't know what is coming next. Every day, things we never imagined 5 to 10 years back is the reality today. We never thought of Gen AI. We never thought of now there is agentic AI, right? So never thought of those kind of things. It was like, okay, it's a different world altogether. So I think let's be on our toes and know our systems well enough to be able to safeguard.
Thanks, Pooja. I think that was very well explained. And as rightly pointed out, data is the new currency. Everything is based on data nowadays.
Absolutely.
My final question of this episode is for you, Vishal. Looking ahead, the road ahead for generative AI security is full of opportunities and uncertainties. How do you envision the future of cybersecurity in the age of generative AI, and what are the key trends and developments that we should be paying close attention to?
Yeah, thanks, Sneha. So obviously, like first of all, this is a very exciting topic also, as I mentioned, right? That it is less not just like we have to think critically, but it is also like AI, as Pooja and Priya already mentioned, like AI itself is running with a god speed, right? So we don't know, every day or every 3 months something new is coming, right? Even let's say if talk about the rack technology, right, it itself is keep evolving. There's a different kind of rack technologies are coming into the picture. And the challenge is that every organization just wanted to bring out something on the table without thinking or even put a thought process that what it could be also having a consequences in future, right? So I think the first thing which we have to think about, there are obviously different kind of uncertainties and opportunities is, again, as we mentioned, from the overall landscape we'll talk about. First of all, we have to think about that AI surely can utilization or utilize for enhancing the overall cybersecurity posture, right? Because as Pooja mentioned, that data is something is kind of fuel for next generation any kind of topic, right? And we want everything in very quick time, because if we want more and more personalization, customization, right, and solutions are coming with respect to that, okay, it has to be curated for a particular person, right? Then we have to also basically do a lot of data analytics, and this data is something having two different perspective. One is that first of all you have to utilize some data to train your model, and as we have mentioned that surely there could be data available open source, right? We do not know exactly what it is brings, and we keep basically training our model with that, right? So we have to be also having some kind of concerns with respect to that particular perspective, how well we are utilizing the data. Should we do some kind of a validation of the data, right, filtration of the data, so even AI can be utilized for those kind of perspective also, right? Second is, as Pooja mentioned, like right now if you ask any organization, even a simple developer, it's also trying to optimize his particular code on the pressure of their managers, right? And they just keep copy was the particular IP of their company into the chat GPT. And maybe those kind of culture and awareness is something really important, first of all. So if you ask me, like what should be our vision, or how we should deal with this particular topic in future, is first that most important is first we have to really create a awareness and kind of a collaborative framework, right, where everybody should understand that Genia is important, everybody should adapt it. Because obviously in future any tech, any kind of technical person, everybody has to come up with AI kind of skills, but how to use it securely and safely and bring out a safe system for the overall human perspective is most important, right? That is first point. Second is we have to also understand that in the world of this overall data warehouse, right, how we can utilize AI. Let's say one is like AI could be utilized for cyber defense, right? We'll talk about like dark trace, like they are using even agentic AI, right, which can be like self driven cyber defense system, which can protect and deploy, even detect by itself. So it's like model is creating its own model. Again, it's a very good way to understand, or I will say utilization of the AI. But again, if this detection itself is gone wrong, means if we are developing this kind of system and finally it has been trained, or some kind of malicious actor is kind of trying to bypass its own let's say ethics, then it can gone wrong also, right? Second is, as Priya mentioned with respect to the enhanced threat detection. So even like AI can be utilized into SIEM to having some kind of proactive analysis, right? Anomaly detections, advanced vulnerability management, and all, right. Third thing, which I really feel that uh, s- the utilization of the AI or Gen AI in cybersecurity should be also focused into the domain, because it's very difficult to utilize, let's say, a automotive curated cybersecurity trained model for healthcare, because both ecosystem and perspective is totally different. So we have to really give a thought and come up with the innovation culture within organization, which should be very much focused on the specific domain. Let's say if you want to bring out a particular solution for healthcare, specifically for the privacy, or let's say data privacy and data confidentiality or data classification, right, then the complete solution could be different than if you talk about IT and OT, right? Because the overall data criticality is different. But I think still people are trying to do the same, right? So that is something we have to keep changing and think with respect to future. Third thing is like we have to also understand this cross border, like deploying our solutions, right? Every country is coming up their own compliance and regulations, right? And for some countries, maybe privacy data is quite very kind of critical, but other companies not, right? So we have to keep doing this gap analysis and come up with the appropriate solution. And even that is why like we have to come up with a regulatory framework which could be like as an standard can be given, because interpretation of the regulation also up to the person to person, or because there's no such interpretation has been given, right? So there should be some standard how it is there for other technology. Obviously it will come in future, not today, but there should be some standard which can kind of give you the reference that everyone should at least implement in this particular direction any kind of AI model, right? um, Third thing, another thing is like human AI and collaboration, right? So people are quite afraid that AI will replace human, but yeah, obviously it's not going to be happen. Surely a person without having AI skills can be replaced by the person who is having AI skills, but not with the AI, right? So that is something we have to really understand. And again, as I think Priya mentioned that AI itself can be biased, right? Because it has to be trained with some kind of data, and everyone having their own kind of perspective with the data, right? So even for that we have to have a domain expert to basically validate those kind of model, those kind of solutions. So which is very much important that human and AI collaboration is very much to bring out the safe and kind of ethical AI on solution in the picture, right? And last point I will say a zero trust kind of uh, architecture or technology surely we have to basically ensure, because as you mentioned in this overall connected world, what we are making or moving towards a shareable platform, right? Where everybody want to just basically bring out the solution, put into a particular platform, and anybody can use it, right? But as soon as we'll open this kind of platform, surely the third party risk is coming to the picture, right? So we have to utilize AI in this kind of complex system, especially when we talk about the infrastructure security, right? Industry 4.0, where a lot of critical, I will say, safety critical incident can happen, right? There surely we have to utilize this zero trust kind of methodology, where even the AI can be integrated with the zero trust principle by telling like every time we have to verify and do not trust anyone. So real time logging, real time monitoring, real time incident handling, right? Vulnerability patching. So multiple perspective which is going to become in further. Overall, with my last statement, what I want to say is basically AI is not even good or not bad, but it is what we make out of, right? But surely the challenge is still ensuring AI remains secure, ethical, and trustworthy. Yeah, with that, thank you very much.
Think that was a great perspective, Vishal. I think we have a lot to look forward to. But thank you so much for sharing your insights, all the guest speakers here. With that, it is wrap of this episode of Tech Talks with Nasscom Insights. Viewers, hope you enjoyed this discussion on security in the age of generative AI. Thanks a lot, Priya, Vishal, and Pooja, for sharing such interesting insights. Viewers, stay tuned for more insightful discussions happening in the Indian tech industry with Nasscom Insights YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Till then, it's a goodbye from everyone at Nasscom Insights.